Hi, welcome. Gosh, we're almost done. 2 more modules. This one's on fluids. You're either going to do fluids at the beginning of the year or the end because it involves water, and water makes me think of summer. I personally make fluids the first thing I do, and I use lots of pool toys and things like that. Otherwise, you can do it at the end. Okay, Module 7, oh, by the way, AP Physics 2 National Math and Science Initiative. Module 7 Fluids, we're going to do an overview here. My name is John Frensley. I teach at Prosper High School, and as of the time of this recording, we're going to be opening a new high school in 2 years. So if you are watching out there and you want a new place to teach AP Physics 1 and AP Physics 2, I would be more than happy to hear from you, especially if you have some decent experience. And if you're in the Dallas area or if you want to move out to Prosper, I'd be more than happy to talk to you about filling that position. All right, and you're welcome, and your students, to like Frensley Physics on Facebook. Just search Frensley Physics Facebook. I put example questions every day and solutions on Saturday. I've only gotten good feedback from it. Here comes our focus on fluids. We're really going to focus mostly on liquids. Gas, and when we deal with gas, it's going to not compress. But the behavior of fluids: density, pressure, force, buoyancy force, flow speed, that kind of thing. Pressure when you're not moving, hydrostatic pressure, not moving. How does that depend on things like depth? How does it depend on density? And more importantly, how is hydrostatic pressure caused? Will you go on to PhET and find the PhET simulation? I may have to show it in my next one, where you see the little molecules bouncing around. Your students need to know that hydrostatic pressure comes from molecules hitting a surface and bouncing off. Heck, somebody out there might be like, I got a demonstration for that. I make the kids throw tennis balls at a piece of wood, and the piece of wood pushes backwards. I don't have a nice setup like that, but if you do, good for you. Buoyancy force. How is it caused by pressure difference between the top and the bottom? The reason the buoyancy is always up is because the pressure on the bottom of an object is more than the pressure on the top. The bottom is deeper down in the fluid. So that up force is more than the down force of pressure on the top. Buoyancy is always up. How is it caused? By the motion of molecules moving randomly around. The molecules hitting the top of the object and the molecules hitting the bottom of the object harder, trying to push the object out of the water. Buoyancy. Continuity principle, not that hard. I'm going to show you some things about continuity principle in part B. And the Bernoulli principle, that's part C. You need to spend time on the Bernoulli principle. I would tell you that if I'm divvying out my unit, I'm going to spend half the time on buoyancy, density, pressure, buoyancy, Pascal's principle, that kind of crap. That's half. 1/6 of the time on continuity, and 1/3 of the time on just the one topic of Bernoulli. You hear that that is the one topic that gets the most time. Okay, fluids has shown up 8% of the time. That justifies about 2.5 weeks out of 30. It's still worth doing. This unit should be very hands-on. Give the students stuff to play with hands. An object such as a hand, give them a hanging weight. But I give them little stupid brass statues. I go to garage sales, and I mean, people just hoard this garbage. They have these brass statues. I buy these brass statues. I give them to my kids. I don't give it to them, but I give them to my students. Find the density of this, will you? Here's a big bucket of water and a spring scale. That's all you get. A big bucket of water and a spring scale. Ask them to take data to find the volume and the density of the object, only from the spring scale, and knowing the density of water is 1,000 kilograms per cubic meter. Okay, there are these large orange suction cups from Harbor Freight Tools that you can get, and you can stick them to a desk and actually lift up the whole desk. I've lifted up some pretty serious things. They're for lifting and moving windows, but you can lift up a bunch of things with them. Have the students explain in terms of outside and inside pressures how the suction cup works. In Module C, we'll talk about how we can use squirt guns, water squirting tubes from Dollar Tree stores, of course, soda bottles, to show off the continuity and Bernoulli principles, parts B and C of this module. Okay, what's on the exam a lot? Okay. You know, I'm getting sick of explaining my my serial numbers here. Every question for me has a little serial code. It comes in 3 segments separated by dashes. So I'm just going to ask you to go back to Module 4A or Module 1A and just find where I explain how the first segment says which type of exam it is. The second segment says which year the exam is. And the third segment says the question type MC, double mark, multiple choice, or free response, and the question number. Okay, so here we go. Haven't seen a lot of density and buoyancy and pressure yet. We did have a whole free response on buoyancy and density. Only a couple of multiple choices. Only one free response just on multiple choice just on hydrostatic pressure. Just one multiple choice. But if it comes up more, let's take and use some of these multiple choices and free responses from Physics B. Here's some multiple choices and free responses from Physics B. I strongly encourage you to find them and use them. Continuity, wow. Back in Physics B, it was just one pipe changing its size. But now for Physics 2, they like to have one pipe splits into multiple pipes, or many pipes come together. Please look at these continuity principle questions and see what I'm talking about from the practice exams released behind the audit wall, or on the practice exam behind the audit wall that was never used for a legit exam, or the AP course description. Notice that on the AP course description, the prototype exam, and the 3 release multiple choices, continuities appeared 1 time each. And it appeared sporadically on Physics B. Look up those questions. They have my endorsement. While Bernoulli shows up a lot on P1, get your kids ready for it. A whole free response. Another whole free response from this year and last year. And multiple choices on the practice exam, that is the prototype beyond the audit wall, and on every single release multiple choice so far. How are you going to get your kids ready for this? Use some old AP Physics B. These are good AP Physics B questions. Please use them. Please use them. Seek them out and use them with your kids. These questions have my seal of approval. I am not even going to tell you what needs to be hands-on. Everything. Everything needs to be hands-on. For labs, see video B and video C of this section. Calculating pressures, buoyancies, fluid speeds, etc. In fact, for me, the on-paper stuff is coupled with the hands-on. In other words, they're doing something hands-on and then they're calculating stuff on paper. What-if scenarios for class discussions. Go find some good Paul Hewitt next time questions dealing with fluids. They're good. I would use Paul Hewitt's fluids-related next time questions. Okay, next time, continuity, labs and demonstrations and hands-on. Then part C, Bernoulli. You better watch the Bernoulli one. It's a good one. And it's cheap stuff that you can get out of your own pocket and not spend a lot of money. So stay tuned.